Okay, in our previous two videos we talked about multiplying and dividing our radical expressions, and now we're going to add them. So adding and subtracting, of course. So adding and subtracting is just like when we're working with terms in a polynomial expression. They have to be like terms. So in this case with radical expressions, they have to be like radicals. So if I have 7 square root 5 plus 2 square root 5, in order to combine these, that just like I would combine like terms, 7 plus 2 would be 9 square root 5. And that's how I put those together. And so they have to be exactly the same, just like if I were going to add an x squared, it has to be with an x squared. It can't be an x to the third. If this is, I'm going to add the fourth root of 3 to something else that's the fourth root of 3. Okay? So here I have 7 fourth roots of 3 plus the fourth root of 3, so total I have 8 fourth roots of 3. Or in this case, I have 15 square root 2x plus 3 square root 2x minus 4 square root 2x. Well, 15 and 3 makes 18, but then I'm going to subtract 4 from that, so that's going to leave me with 14 square roots of 2x. Notice my radical doesn't change here. Just like when we're combining like terms and I say, well, if I have 3x squareds and I'm adding to that 4x squareds, I get 7x squareds. My x squared doesn't change. Okay. Now sometimes you're going to need to combine your radicals, but they're not going to be the same. So you need to manipulate your radicals in order to get them there. Okay. I always like to look first and see, okay, here I have the cube root of 16 and 5 cube roots of 2. I know that I can't simplify the cube root of 2. Because when I think of my perfect cube numbers, well, 1 cubed is 1. That doesn't help us necessarily. But 2 cubed is 8. Well, 8 is already bigger than 2, so I can't simplify this at all. So I'm looking for perfect cube factors. Well, remember, when all else fails, you can find the prime factorization of 16, and we can find our perfect cube factors there. So this is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or in this case 2 to the third times 2. So if I think of the cube root of 16 as the cube root of 2 to the third times 2, then I can think of this as 2 cube roots of 2. And then I'm adding to that 5 cube roots of 2. 5 cube roots of 2. So my total answer here would be 7 cube roots of 2. Okay? So they have to be like radicals, and that's what you're trying to get to. Okay? Sometimes you'll have to simplify one, sometimes you'll have to simplify both. 8 square root 2 minus square root 50. I know that this doesn't actually change, but square root of 50 can become square root of 25 times square root of 2. And the goal would be that I would have square root of 2. So this becomes 5 square root 2. And I have 8 square root 2 minus 5 square root 2, so that leaves me with 3 square root 2 when all is said and done. Cube root of 24. So perfect cube factors, again, I'm going to go with 8 on that. So this becomes the cube root of 8 times the cube root of 3. And then I'm multiplying that times 3. And then for 81, I'm going to say, well, that's the cube root of 27 times the cube root of 3. So this becomes 3 times 2 times the cube root of 3. And this becomes 3 times the cube root of 3. So 6 cube root of 3 plus 3 cube root of 3, that's a lot of 3's. And then I'm left with 9 times the cube root of 3. Okay. Similarly here, okay, so I have 6x times the square root of 45xy. 45, I can say that is really the square root of 9 times the square root of 5. So this is going to come out as a 3. And then what I have left is 5xy. So that works out okay. For the square root of 80, notice my goal is that I have a 5xy on the inside, otherwise I can't combine them. So this becomes the square root of 16 and the square root of 5. But also this x to the third, notice one of those x's is going to come out, because that's the square root of x squared and the square root of x, and then of course I have the y as well. Okay, so then I'm subtracting from this. I have 4x times the square root of 5xy. So 18x square root 5xy minus 4x square root 5xy. When I put that all together, I get 14x square root 5xy. Okay, final answer right there. So that's how we're going to work with adding and subtracting. Don't forget, if you need to, you have to find like radicals first. Keep up the good work. We'll see you in the next one.